money can't buy happiness. That's a popular saying coined by William and Mary College Quarterly, a peer-reviewed history journal first published in 1982. The phrase is supposed to evoke the idea that material goods can't replace simple human pleasures like friendship and love, or the faith in a higher being. However, I'm not sure of the truth of the statement. As a meme I saw once said, "Money buys bacon, and bacon makes me happy." Bacon Me Crazy is the story about a female chef running a food truck, serving authentic Italian cuisine in the form of gourmet sandwiches in the city of Portland. You know, before it became the real-life Purge.
Before the dark times. Before
COVID. Cleo, the chef, is doing a decent business running this culinary kitchen out of a food truck, and has a nice set of regular customers who are all but addicted to her cuisine. Her friends and her co-workers all think that she should open a restaurant, but she's reluctant because she knows how hard and expensive opening a restaurant really is. And also, she's not convinced her full-course cooking is good enough. Now, as an accountant who has done the taxes for food trucks in the past, I feel it would be a disservice not to dispel the myth that a lot of people have about food trucks being cheap and easy to run. First of all, there are just as many regulations and licenses to run a food truck as there are to running a restaurant that's brick and mortar. And in many jurisdictions, the regulations are even harsher for food trucks. For example, in my county, all food trucks must get every single menu item approved by the county health board before it is served. This means revealing every ingredient, where it's sourced, and how it is prepared, at what temperature, for every step of the process. And the county takes up to 30 days to approve each item. At least that's what the regulations say. However, in practicality, they can take 90 to 120 days to approve a single menu item. And you have to get every menu item approved before you can hand it to a single customer. If you're making hot dogs and you decide you want to do a chili dog, you can't just make the chili dog, even if you've gotten the hot dog approved, because you have to get the chili making approved first by the county, and then you also have to get the chili dog approved as a separate item. I know for a fact that this is true because I helped someone do this and was flabbergasted because I only did the chili dog through the process, and they came back with, well, you have to do the chili before we'll even look at the chili dog, even though the chili was just canned chili. It is insane how difficult it is to get a single menu item approved. So all these notions of a chef running a food truck just magically deciding one day, ooh, I've got these extra ingredients, I'm going to put together a new menu item for tomorrow, doesn't exist, not illegal in my county. Also, you have to have your truck parked within a certain regulated distance to parking spaces, trash cans, restrooms, and a running water source. You can't just drive your truck and park wherever you want on any given day. You have to have your schedule where you're parked and approved by the county before you can go and park there. It is a nightmare. On top of that, you're also responsible for all litter within a certain radius of your truck, whether it comes from your truck or not. They don't care. They'll fine you. I had one client where he got fined because there was litter near his truck that was McDonald's wrappers from down the street. It was clearly labeled as McDonald's, and the city was like, we don't care, it's by your truck, here's a $300 fine. And while not every area has regulations as strict as my county, the 7 jurisdictions I have done taxes for all have their own expensive and ridiculous hurdles for the food truck vendors. So this is not a unique example by any means. I only bring this up because I think a lot of people have this vision in their head where you can make whatever you want, park wherever you want, serve whoever you want, just because the food comes out of a truck. But reality is a lot more complicated than that, and the government likes to have its hands in every little thing that you do. Anyway, the movie doesn't want to get into any of that, and fair enough. This is about romance and good food, not bureaucratic red tape. I'm into red tape because that's my profession. I kind of have to be. But most people wouldn't find this entertaining in the slightest. So that's why Cleo is concerned about starting a brick-and-mortar restaurant and is completely unconcerned with all the regulations and tax filings that go with running a food truck. One day, while shopping for produce, she runs into her love interest Gabe, and while they kind of click as a couple initially, bonding over persimmons of all things, she doesn't know it at the time, but he is about to be her competition. Gabe is new in town, or rather returned to town from when he was a kid, and is here to reconnect with his younger brother, who just happens to be rich. And he's here in his truck, Mo Bacon, which specializes in bacon cuisine. Once again, I have to roll my eyes at the fact that the movie just pretends you can have a mobile food truck that moves between jurisdiction at the driver's whim. The reality is every single county, city, and state has different taxation rules that require you to get a business license to operate in them. You can't just roll into town, open your food truck, and start selling food out the side of the truck. You have to get business licenses, you have to sign up for tax codes, you have to pay your taxes, you have to track everything for every jurisdiction that you're in. You can't just drive around the country, going wherever you please, selling whatever you please. Real life's not like this.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Let it go. Let it go. Not everyone is an accountant. It's a romance movie. Just enjoy it. Anyway, Cleo is taking part in a competition for food trucks hosted by a famous celebrity chef with a $100,000 prize pool on the line. So just as she is attempting to qualify for the competition through social media likes, she now has to compete with a cute chef across from her. And she is in a disadvantageous position because everyone loves
Bacon.
and love it her customers do, as they enjoy his BLP, that's bacon, lettuce, and persimmon, sandwiches, bacon ravioli, and bacon fried rice. Her food might be classic and savory, but his is new and exciting, and proves to be stiff competition. He has no interest in the food truck competition, but he ends up nominated anyway because everyone loves him and wants him to succeed, and the two now have to compete, just as they are beginning to get closer. Now, when I'm making these reviews, I usually condense the story a bit for the purposes of time management. I could just say they're getting closer and show a brief clip of them flirting, and not get down into the point-by-point narrative of each and every scene. I just try to get across the fact that these two are into each other. But this scene in the garden, I have to discuss it. So, he comes to visit her in the garden, and she claims this is a vegetable garden, and she cooks with some of the vegetables and gives the rest to the local food bank. Two things. This garden is way too small to provide enough vegetables for either of those. And also, look at this still shot. There are no vegetables in this garden, these are flowers. Back to the plot. As an additional little wrinkle, it turns out the head judge just happens to be Gabe's ex-boss, a woman he was originally going to open a restaurant with as his partner. But he decided to leave town instead to see the country. Awkward. Cleo ends up being pressured by her family to quit cooking and join the family real estate business. Also, Gabe and Cleo have a budding romance. Mix all of these things together, And these ingredients and this competition just got interesting. What will win the day? Home-style Italian cooking? Or
Bacon.
Bacon Me Crazy doesn't really do anything new or spectacular or anything out of the ordinary, really, when it comes to the story and romance. But it also doesn't have quite the paint-by-numbers script that many of these movies employ. The gimmick of the food trucks, and more importantly the bacon, is creative and adds a little extra flavoring to the concoction that is the script. It makes the whole movie a bit more savory than a typical romance movie. I've seen the lead actress, Natalie Hall, in a number of these films, and although I find her slightly quirky and overly friendly demeanor charming, it is just a carbon copy performance from her other films. It seems like every movie she does, she's just playing herself. I just wish we could see something slightly more from her. But on the other hand, if it's not broke, why fix it? One of the reoccurring guests at the food truck is played by Rihanna Fish, an Australian actress that has been in literally dozens of these films. And this movie is, as far as I could tell, her very first Hallmark movie. It's actually kind of refreshing to see someone get a sort of audition in this film as a bit part before moving up and starring in her own set of films. Like most Hallmark movies, the male actors are just one-offs. And that confuses me. Despite the fact that I'm a man and I like romance movies, I would never deny that these movies in this genre are made for women. Kind of the same way that Avengers, while it can appeal to women, is a decidedly male franchise. It's interesting to me that the actors tend to not recur as much as the actresses, and most of them never appear in other projects outside the genre. You would think that they would sell these things on the handsome looks of the men, and yet the women are always the headliners and more well-known of the pair. The actor playing Gabe is fine in this role, but like I was saying, he's kind of generic, and his whole character basically revolves around him being a drifter who won't put down roots until he meets the lead actress. So, I guess I answered my own question. That tends to be a women's power fantasy, finding a cute guy who will sacrifice everything and exist solely to make her happy. In other words, finding a man that she can change or fix. That's something that doesn't happen in real life very often. So it makes sense that that would be the fantasy being portrayed in these movies. Whatever, I'm not putting any kind of judgment on it, I'm just simply stating my observations of the genre as a whole. And there's plenty here in this movie of things that I can enjoy. And of course, there is also
Bacon.
This movie has a fun romance between two likable leads, and there's plenty of tasty morsels being cooked throughout the film to leave your stomach rumbling to the end. While the cooking takes a backstage to the romance, it serves its purpose as a framing device for the movie, but I can't quite help but wonder if the only reason bacon is introduced in this film is so that they can have that pun of a title. For these reasons, I'm giving this movie 6 slices of out of 10. It is kind of amazing how many romance movies that aren't Christmas related revolve around food. I guess what they say about the way to someone's heart is through their stomach is accurate. Anyway, this movie and dozens more like it are currently available on Hallmark Plus, so head over there if you're feeling hungry for a romance movie. Until next time, I'm Jack Collins, and if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.